You are convinced time is moving. You feel it in the ticking of clocks, in the fading of light, in the way a song begins and then ends. Seconds seem to fall away behind you while the future rushes toward you. Everything about your experience whispers the same message: time flows. It feels like a river. You stand in it, carried forward, unable to stop the current. Birth drifts into childhood. Childhood drifts into memory. Moments arrive, exist briefly, and vanish forever. The sensation is so constant that you rarely question it. But what if nothing is actually flowing? Physics describes motion with precision. It measures velocity, acceleration, energy, curvature. Yet when it comes to time, the fundamental equations do not describe a current pushing reality forward. They describe relationships between events, coordinates in space-time structures, not streams. There is no variable labeled flow. We talk about time passing because change surrounds us. Leaves fall, faces age, buildings crumble. But change does not automatically mean movement through a temporal river. It may only mean that different states exist at different coordinates. You assume that because things transform, something must be carrying them from one state to another. But consider this carefully. When you watch a movie, the characters appear to move. They speak, act, evolve. Yet the film itself is a fixed strip of frames. Nothing inside it is flowing. The motion emerges from sequence, not from a river within the reel. Your experience of time may operate the same way. The feeling of movement could be a byproduct of how your mind processes change, not evidence that time itself is moving. The clock does not prove a river exists. It only measures intervals between events. Still, the illusion feels solid. You feel older than you were yesterday. You anticipate tomorrow. You mourn the past as if it has been swept away. That emotional weight reinforces the narrative of flow. But before accepting that narrative, you must ask a dangerous question: is time truly moving? Or is your brain telling a story so convincing that you never thought to doubt it? You trust the present. It feels sharp, immediate, undeniable. You believe there is a precise edge separating past from future, a thin blade called now slicing reality into before and after. But your brain does not experience reality in real time. Neuroscience reveals something unsettling. Every sound you hear, every color you see, every sensation you feel arrives with delay. Light must hit your eyes. Signals must travel through nerves. Electrical patterns must assemble into perception. By the time you are aware of a moment, it has already happened. Your present is slightly late. Worse than that, it is stitched together. The brain collects sensory inputs over small intervals and blends them into a smooth narrative. It edits, it stabilizes, it synchronizes mismatched signals so the world feels continuous. What you call now is not a razor, thin slice of time. It is a constructed window, a short integration period packaged as immediacy. You do not experience the raw edge of reality. You experience a process summary. Experiments show that your brain can even reorder events after they occur, adjusting perception to maintain coherence. If two stimuli arrive milliseconds apart, your mind may reshape them into a clean sequence that never truly existed in that form. The present is less a point and more a performance, and you are the audience. This realization fractures something fundamental. If your brain manufactures the sensation of now, then the flow of time may not be an external current. It may be an internal effect, a side product of neural computation. Your consciousness moves across states of brain activity, and that progression feels like time advancing. But what you experience as forward motion could simply be your nervous system updating itself. You do not stand on the edge of the universe watching moments pass. You inhabit a biological machine that generates the illusion of passing. The brain evolved to predict, to survive, to coordinate action. It needed stability, not metaphysical accuracy. So it created a seamless present, a moving spotlight of awareness that feels continuous and alive. But if now is assembled inside your skull, not granted by the cosmos, then the river you feel may not belong to reality at all. It may belong to you. If your brain constructs the present, physics dismantles it. At the deepest levels, the fundamental equations describing reality do not contain a flowing clock. They describe relationships between variables, correlations between events, symmetries that remain intact whether time is written forward or backward. In classical mechanics, reverse the direction of time in the equations and they still function. In electromagnetism, the laws remain consistent. Even in quantum mechanics, the core mathematics does not demand a universal current dragging the universe ahead. Then relativity delivers the decisive blow. There is no universal present, no cosmic stage where everything shares the same. Now observers moving at different velocities slice space-time differently. What is simultaneous for one may not be simultaneous for another. The present becomes relative, dependent on perspective. Without a shared present, the notion of time flowing together for the entire universe collapses. Instead, physics suggests a four-dimensional structure called space-time. Events are arranged like coordinates on a vast grid. Your birth is a coordinate. This moment is a coordinate. Your final breath is another coordinate. They do not blink into existence one after the other. They occupy positions within the structure. From this perspective, time resembles space. You do not ask where the flow of space is. You simply recognize locations. The mountain exists. The city exists. They do not come into being sequentially because you walk toward them. Likewise, the future may not be rushing toward you. It may simply exist at a different coordinate along the temporal dimension. The sensation of movement arises because you experience one coordinate at a time. But the structure itself may be static. Physics does not describe a river of time-sweeping events from possibility into reality. It describes a geometry in which events are fixed within space-time. If that is true, then nothing is sliding from future into present. Into past, everything is already positioned. And what you interpret as flow may be something else entirely, the progression of awareness across a landscape that was never moving to begin with. If the laws of physics are mostly indifferent to direction, why does time feel like it points somewhere? The answer is entropy. Entropy measures disorder. It describes how energy spreads, how organized systems drift toward more probable scattered states. A drop of ink diffuses in water. A glass shatters on the floor. Heat moves from hot objects to cold ones. These processes unfold in one direction, not because the equations demand it, but because probability does. There are far more disordered arrangements than ordered ones, far more ways for molecules to be scattered than neatly aligned. So systems naturally evolve toward higher entropy. That statistical trend creates what we call the arrow of time. The future is the direction in which entropy increases. Your brain is built inside that gradient. Memories form when physical records are created, when low entropy states leave structured traces in neural tissue. You remember the past because those traces exist. You do not remember the future because those traces have not formed in your current brain state. From your perspective, information accumulates in one direction. Disorder grows, records stack behind you. Ahead of you lies uncertainty. That asymmetry convinces you that time flows forward. But notice what is really happening. Space-time itself may remain a complete structure. The entire block may already exist. Yet within that block, entropy is lower in one region and higher in another. Your conscious experience follows that gradient, moving from lower entropy coordinates to higher ones. You interpret that progression as motion. You call it the passing of time. In reality, it may be the unfolding of thermodynamic imbalance. The arrow of time is not a river pushing events ahead. It is a statistical slope embedded within the structure of the universe. You, as a biological system, are sensitive to that slope. Your thoughts, memories, and perceptions are shaped by it. So when you feel time rushing, slipping, accelerating, what you are truly sensing is change in entropy, the growing complexity behind you, the increasing uncertainty ahead. Time may not be flowing. Entropy is, if time does not flow, if the present is constructed, if entropy merely creates direction within a static structure, then something profound remains. You are not being carried forward by a river. You are tracing a path. The universe may already exist as a complete four-dimensional architecture. Every event fixed within space-time. Every version of you anchored at different coordinates. The child you were, the person reading this sentence, the older self you have not yet met, all equally real within the structure. Nothing is arriving, nothing is leaving. What changes is your awareness. Consciousness may function like a spotlight moving across a landscape that never shifts. It illuminates one slice at a time, creating the sensation of progression. You interpret that illumination as motion because you cannot see beyond the beam. The limitation feels like flow. You say, I am moving through time. But perhaps what is truly happening is that your mind is updating its internal state frame by frame, along a path that already exists. Each neural configuration corresponds to a coordinate in space-time. As those configurations change, your experience changes. That change feels like forward movement. It feels like becoming, yet from a higher vantage point. There may be no becoming at all, only being distributed across dimensions you cannot directly perceive. The brain evolved to simplify reality. It compresses complexity into stories. One of its most powerful stories is the narrative of a flowing present carrying you from past into future. That story helps you plan, anticipate, survive, but usefulness is not proof of truth. The river of time may be a cognitive convenience, a survival interface. A way to navigate a static cosmos without being overwhelmed by its totality. You fear time running out because you imagine it slipping away. You regret the past because you imagine it vanishing. You chase the future because you imagine it rushing toward you. But if the structure already stands complete, then nothing is slipping. There is only a vast architecture of events, and your awareness traveling through it, unable to see the whole. Time does not flow. Your brain creates the sensation of flow to survive. The river was never moving, you were.